Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Classics Show. I am your host, Shabnum Riaz. And actually, I'm very, very excited today because today's episode is a really special episode. We have a fabulous guest. There's no way you could ever guess who that person is. He has been labeled as given the title of super genius, miracle baby, the little professor, source of inspiration. And these are titles that he earned, you know, mashallah, at the tender age of 4. I have with me in the studios, I have Zidane Hamid. Zidane, thank you very much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for calling me in the show. I'm very feeling flattered that you have called me in the show.
Oh, well, actually, we are really equally happy to have you here. And we're looking forward to talking about lots of things with you.
Yeah, and I'll be very happy that you have called me to the show, and we will talk about many things. As you know, this is a show, very intellectual show, a very nice show, but it is about classics. Well, its name is the Classic Show.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is a classic show, really.
So let's talk about books in general. How important is it to have books in your life?
Books are your friends. They'll never apart from you because they are very knowledgeable. You know, books are ultimately portable magic.
Oh, that's a lovely quote. Who is that quote by?
Stephen King.
Stephen King. Have you? He's a very well-known author.
Yeah.
Yeah, and did you like his style of writing?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, that's good. What else do you like? What are the things that interest you?
There is no friend loyal as a book. They are your friends. They're your continuous friends.
Exactly. Why? How can you develop a relationship with books? What about those children or those adults who don't want to read or are not interested in reading? What can we say to them?
They're always waiting for you. The books are always waiting for you. They always want you. And you know, these are just like a whetstone. Books are like, it's a sword is getting sharpened by a whetstone. It is just like a mind getting sharpened by a book. Just like a sword getting sharpened by a whetstone.
That is, I love that symbolism that you have created. Have you ever tried writing poetry?
I have, but anyway, I'm writing a book. Yeah, but
what is the name of that book?
I'm going to launch it I'm going to launch it on global warming.
Okay, so you're interested in global warming, the phenomena of global warming.
Yeah.
Okay, because that is one of the main concerns of the world today, isn't it?
That is the most biggest terrorism on earth besides all the things.
And are we giving enough focus to this? This is a great danger to the world, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't know I don't know till 2050 how much hot will be this planet.
Because we're seeing so many weather changes anyway, aren't we? All around the world.
That's another thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay, weather changes and climate changes are different things.
Yeah, but both are very bad factors. And many animals, like, you know, troutfish, which is a very big food in this country's northern areas and also in other northern areas. Now people have more demand for trout. Trout is getting finished there because of climate change, so they can't get the food which they need in the northern areas to survive from cold.
That's so true.
In trout, you can't get trout. So, and another thing, they're many other animals which are getting extinct. Snow leopard, they are also getting extinct. You know our snow leopard, what are these?
Yeah, because the glaciers are melting and we're having...
Can you give me the book?
Which one?
This global one.
This book? Yeah, sure. I can give that to you.
Just to name a few of them, there.
Do you want me to look at it or are you going to look at it?
I have to look.
Okay, right.
Just to name a few, there are some of them like Apollo butterfly.
Okay.
Because the shade is not coming, there's a warming climate enable trees to grow up on mountains, blocking out their precious sunlight. The trees are getting up, and then because of climate change, then the sunlight is blocked.
And that is why this butterfly is
getting extinct.
It's an endangered species.
Some are also extinct, like the golden toad. It was killed in 1987 by a disease spread through climate change because of usually warm temperatures. The habitat was finished, the golden toad. We should learn a lesson from that. Wow, it get extinct. Curlew, it is like short birds worldwide. It's a sea coast bird like storks, cranes, and flamingos. It is getting extinct because food supply and migration patterns are changed by global warming. And the pika, small relatives of rabbits, it looks like a mouse rather than a rat.
Let's have a look at that picture. Right, it does look like a mouse,
it looks like a
doesn't it?
hamster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
This is a small rabbits heading for extinction. It is about to go to extinction, and this might be the first mammal to go into extinction.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So what are
Then
we planning? What are we doing for this?
Now, the most endangered are amphibians, 30%. Then it's otter, the mammals, 22%. Then the aves, the birds, 12%. And finally, the reptiles, 5%.
Right. And what are the most common animals that are on the endangered list? We have tigers and...
Yeah, tigers, Sumatran tigers, Javan tigers.
Is this also because of
They were
climate change?
extinct. They are already extinct.
They're already extinct. And so what should we be doing? We should be more aware.
Also, the Pacific hawksbill turtle is getting extinct in the Caribbean because of warming temperatures. Well, the blue whale, it's a very common whale which is now getting extinct because although commercial whaling was stopped and harpooning is stopped in 1967, but
And this was in the waters of Japan, wasn't it? That mainly they had this problem.
And then now ship strikes and nets or even global warming is getting habitat to its krill. Krill is their favorite food. It could choke if you give it something else. So then krill is getting very bad. It's now getting rare. And now what is happening is blue whales are getting extinct. And polar bears from shrinking ice are getting down.
Yeah.
Shrinking ice. They can't. They have a shorter lifespan and fewer cubs.
Right.
Of polar
Okay,
bears.
now, Zidane, also we're going to talk about one of the books that you have brought in today, but we can see here that we have so many books in front of us. And this is just a sample of some of the books that are in your library.
Yeah.
And this is just a sample of some of the books that you have read and you're interested in. So the book that we're going to talk about today that you wanted to talk about was the 100 Most Influential People. I think that book is over there, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah? You want to, yeah. A list of the 100 most influential people, and that's something you wanted to talk about. Now, I know that you're
I bet
interested...
you're going to like it.
I already like it, yeah. So, you tell me, you're interested in history, yeah?
Yeah.
You're interested
I
in
like
a lot.
history because when I got interest in it was the 100. When I heard this, because I like a list, so 100 influential people in history, I got very curious that who's on first.
Who are they and why were they?
Who is on first? So I then thought that why shouldn't I give a try to this? We searched a lot, and when I found this book, I find it, and that was so amazing when I found who was
And
on
so you
number
probably
one.
picked it up, and then you started reading it, and then you probably thought, I just can't put this down, yeah?
I wanted to, and I was surprised to see who was on first.
That is a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah, surprised.
Our holy prophet, peace be
Yeah.
upon him, is ranked first as the most influential person
Yes.
in the whole of history.
Because when Michael Hart published it, it was very controversial. So then there were many critics, and he said, you know what he said?
Tell me what he said.
He said, I admit that this book is very controversial, but Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was the most influential person on the religious and secular levels.
Absolutely. So that's how he answered his critics,
Yeah.
isn't it? Okay, tell me about your fascination with
Anyway,
history.
this must surprise Christian readers because they might
Yes.
say that Jesus Christ should be on first.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it did have a lot of... I think Jesus Christ is on number 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have the prophet, peace be upon him. Then we have Isaac Newton. And then we have Jesus Christ, I think.
That
yeah?
is a surprise for Christian readers, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me
That's why
about...
it was controversial that time.
Of course. Tell me about your fascination with history. What does history mean? Why does it fascinate you? Why should it
History-
fascinate many people?
History are lists. History is like going just like seeing the lists, and those lists. I'm always surprised at what is the number one. It's a mystery quest, a sort of.
Right. And because history is something that we inherit, isn't it? It's something
Yes.
that has happened.
Yeah, it is not
Imagine-
something that is given. It is something that is obtained.
It's a legacy as well, isn't it?
it's a
Imagine you're
legacy.
sitting in one place, and that place 100 years ago, if you could travel back in time, would be completely different. So that's so fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the sort of archaeological sites that we have, the famous places that we have, they are all representative of those places where amazing things have
Anyway,
happened.
history is time travel.
Time travel, exactly, yeah. So let's go to the book then, and let's start with...
We already did it now.
No, but we're going to talk a bit more about
What
it.
we're waiting for?
Yeah, exactly. Let's start. So open your book, and we'll start at the most influential person that has been stated by the author as our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Yeah.
And as you said, it was very controversial for people at that time.
But you know
But-
that he still says that Mao Zedong was first on the list at number 20. Then it was just published, the first edition was published freshly after his death. So
Okay.
his legacy was still fresh.
It was still fresh, right? So if we
But
talk about...
his successor altered and finished most of the things he did. So his legacy faded, so he needed to put it on 89. And then there were 3 more entries. He had to make 3 more entries. Mikhail Gorbachev,
Okay.
Ernest
The
Rutherford, and
collapse
Henry
of
Ford.
communism.
Yeah.
That was a very important.
Yeah, he was the
part.
last leader of communism.
Exactly,
And
exactly. And
was a chaos
and
then.
that was in sometime in '92, and
yeah,
I think sometime.
it was
around
a very chaos for Russia.
that. Yeah, of course it was. Okay, so let's talk about
let
some
me
of
finish
these.
my talk.
Sure.
All right, so then what happened? He removed the 3 famous people, the famous painter Pablo Picasso, Henry
He was removed as well.
Henry Becquerel, and Niels Bohr.
Mm-hmm.
Replaced by these 3.
I saw some of the sayings of these famous people, and let's talk about our prophet as well. And let's sort of examine what they said. Our prophet said, peace be upon him, that kindness is a mark of faith. Whoever does not have kindness does not have faith. Isn't this such an amazing quote? It has so much depth in it, isn't it?
Yeah, it has, because
It's teaching us
it's teaching us something very important.
very important, how important it is to be kind.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
think?
very-
Do you think that we're kind enough? Sort of, if you look around you, do we see a lot of kindness? Do we see-
Yeah, kindness is, and just respect people. That's what you give the message to the kids.
Yeah.
What? Read books and respect.
Read books and respect, exactly, and be respectful towards, because respect is a two-way street, isn't it? You give respect and then you earn respect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true as well. Okay, and what about this saying by our prophet, peace be upon him, that the ink of a scholar is more sacred than the blood of a martyr?
Oh.
Now, isn't that
Yeah,
an
because
amazing
that is about
thought?
books, you see.
Exactly.
The book is a very important thing.
That this is so sacred.
Yeah, any book is sacred.
Yes, because what are we doing when we're reading? We are
Reading something,
we're reading something and we're gaining knowledge.
gaining knowledge.
And so-
Knowledge is sacred.
And the knowledge is the key to so much.
Yeah.
Because as you said in the beginning, that it's like a sword that is being sharpened by a wet stone. That's exactly what is happening to our mind when we're reading a book, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's why this saying of our prophet is so, is so reflective of this, that the ink of a scholar is more sacred than the blood of a martyr.
Yeah.
And also, one of these quotes that none of you truly believes until he wishes for his brother what he wishes for himself. Now, imagine that. If we all start acting upon
Yeah.
that,
It
wouldn't
said
that
in
solve...
Surah Hujurat, chapter number 49, verse number 10, Innamal mu'minuna ihwa. Indeed, indeed, Muslims are brothers. Indeed, Mu'mins are brothers. So, yeah, we need brotherhood. If we stand united, we'll not be divided. So, unity is strength.
Absolutely,
Because
united.
when you stand up now, just like if you take a stick, you break it, it is, if you have it a bundle of sticks, that's a story anyway.
Yeah.
A person broke it, they broke it, but it couldn't because they were all, the sticks were united together. But when they removed it one by one, they broke easily because they were divided. Because when you stand up united, you will never be broke, and when you be divided, you will be breaken. See?
Exactly, and that is what an example
unity is
that is
strength.
about. You know, united we stand, divided we fall. That is something that is also. So, are we seeing enough unity? How can we teach people? How can we teach children as well? Because all the teaching starts there, doesn't it? How can we teach each other to be more united? What can we do?
We can just stand up. We should stand up. Then books are the key to stand up. We're not going through. It's not just ultimate. We just go. It's a direct shortcut to go. Just a direct shortcut.
Right.
Not that it will not happen so directly that just one we go from here and then to there. Just unite. No, this is the ultimate shortcut. It's ultimate way for you. Books.
That's so true. I mean,
That's my
I'm
perspective.
really enjoying this conversation. I'm enjoying all the things that you know you're talking about. That I feel like I'm learning so much from you.
So, why Michael Hart put Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam on the first of the list? That is the last thing I wanted to tell you about.
Okay.
First, that he was born in Makkah. It was at that time the backward area of the era, because many of the people in this book were born at the center of culture, traditions, and many scientific and arts. But Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born in the backward area of the world, and that's so knowledge. That is one of the most very
Challenging.
challenging.
Yeah, it was very challenging
Yeah.
to be able to go into the Arab culture and to then unite them with a single
Unite
religion.
them up, because at that time
And then they were having a lot of social, moral decay at that
they
time.
were a moral decay. They were attacked, hostage situations over there. But Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam united the people and defeated their enemies. That is a very challenging job to do.
Okay, now you're looking at your watch,
Watch.
aren't you?
Yeah.
You're looking at your watch again, and there's a story behind this watch.
Yeah, it
isn't
is
there?
very legendary.
Okay, and this is also something to do with history. History is your passion,
It's
isn't it?
history, it's time, and it is also going to be knowledge.
What about that watch? What is the family history behind
Alright.
that watch?
My grandfather bought it in 1978, 1 year before the birth of my father.
Okay.
Anyway, it's still not tortoise, because anyway, it is a very quality watch.
Okay, right. And so,
Then he gave it to my father when my father got top marks.
Okay.
Then after that, when I broke my world record, my father said to my grandfather, and my grandfather presented this watch to me.
Wow.
Now one generation passed it to the other, and now the other
passed it to the third generation.
to the third.
What were your feelings when you got that watch from your grandfather?
I
What
was
did
so
you
happy
feel?
and so excited to get that watch, and inshallah, wama tawfiqi illa billah alayhi tawakkaltu wa ilayhi unib. There is no power except for Allah. Unto Him I look, and unto Him I trust. Unto Him I trust, and towards Him I look.
That's wonderful. Okay, so we've spoken now about the number one influential person, our Prophet, peace be upon him. And if we really, carry out the life as he gave as an example of how he lived his life, there was so much that we would be able to achieve. Okay, the next person is Newton. Yeah?
All right, Newton, Isaac Newton.
What do you think of when you think of Newton? I just think of an apple falling on his head.
Yeah, that is a very legendary incident when he.
Tell us about that.
All right, then. Now, why is Newton's influence on the history? First, first people used to believe in Aristotle, that philosopher who gave a theory that who said that the people were believing in Aristotle's theory, but Francis Bacon said, and Rene Descartes said that you don't go on Aristotle's theory. Go and experiment by yourself. You'll find out something else. And when they did, then only Copernicus and Galileo gone on it, and then they found out something. And Newton formulated it. He went in more. He formulated it. And that's what I tell you, that is the influence of Newton on history. They had a very big influence in physics, the history of physics. Otherwise,
History, mathematics, gravity.
and after this, now this links to another scientist, which I would talk about, Nicholas Copernicus. He was from Poland. This Polish scientist, first people used to believe in Egyptian philosopher Ptolemy, and Ptolemy said that the earth is in the center. In place with the sun. The sun is revolving.
So everything
the sun
is
like
revolving around the
It's
earth.
revolving around the earth, and we are in the center of the universe. But Copernicus said, this is wrong. Actually, the sun is in the center.
What an amazing discovery that was.
Yeah, the sun is in the center, and the earth is revolving around the sun.
Around the sun, and so are all the
Actually,
other
nobody
planets.
believed you because the telescope was yet to be invented.
And who invented the telescope?
Hans Lippershey. Anyway, but Galileo saw that people to buy a telescope. He thought that, why shouldn't I make my own instead of I buy a telescope?
Right, right. So every great discovery starts with a great question, doesn't it?
But then,
a curiosity.
you know what happened?
Yeah.
That Copernicus's then books were banned then until 3 centuries.
Okay. So right now we're going to take a break, Zidane, and we're going to come back.
All right.
And we're going to talk about more things.
Yeah, the first book he was published until it was only published on the day of his death.
Oh,
Copernicus.
that's very sad.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Very sad. Okay. Anyway, we're coming back to the rest of this program. We're having a wonderful conversation with Zidane Hamid. So don't change the channel. Stay with us. We'll be back soon. Okay, welcome back to this very special episode of the Classics Show. And, you know, I'm really, really super excited today because we just have such a fantastic guest. And Zidane, how are you enjoying the show so far?
I'm enjoying it. I'm excited to come in this show. All right, so back to the story. So Copernicus' first book was published on the day of his death. All right? That
Okay.
is very sad.
It is very sad.
But now, later on, his supporters were Galileo, Galilei, and Johannes Kepler. And Galilei had the telescope. He made his own telescope rather than buying it. He bought one and he saw it and he made his own.
Right.
Then he take a look at it. At least the lens was really blurred at that time, so he couldn't see Jupiter very clearly. So the moon was thought to be a heavenly body. But when he saw it, it was a moon scarred with craters, which is meteorites. Meteorites is coming right now, even on the moon, it's still getting craters.
What are you saying? Craters are meteorites?
Yeah, craters by comets or meteorites come on the moon.
That's how they're made.
Yeah, craters are made
Okay.
on our moon. So then he also saw a very big bright star which is blood. And it was blood at that time because it was very old telescope and no lenses. As I told you, they saw Jupiter.
Okay.
Big ball. It is actually the biggest in its moon. But he seen it after 1 month. After 1 week, he understand that these wings which are going around it are moons.
Okay, right. Fantastic. That
So he
was
discovered the moons of Jupiter.
okay.
4 of them or 5 of them, 6 of them.
Right,
Anyway,
right.
he published that in a book. Actually, the first writings were in English.
Okay. Okay, so then tell me, you know, when we were talking about earlier in the beginning of the program, we were talking about, you know, books in general, and then you told us about global warming, and you read from that book as well. And then you mentioned that you are writing your own book, yeah?
Books.
So I think that's really fascinating. What's the name of the book?
Books, not guns.
Books, Not Guns.
You know what?
You know what?
We
I can't
are
wait to
having
read that book.
when it gets published,
Yeah.
because there's a
You'll
quote,
invite me to the
there's
book
a
launching,
quote,
won't you?
That if there's a book you want to read, but it's not right now being made, then write it yourself.
And that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and
That's what you're doing, aren't you?
That quote,
That's fabulous. So where did you get this idea from?
I got this idea when I saw the global warming is happening. We are making more guns and we are hitting, and what you know what we're happy killing. We're launching nuclear missiles. Today we've seen Syria. There is chemical gas attacks.
Yeah, yeah. We're putting so much money into warfare. We're putting so much money into arms races. Whereas if we put that money into reading and to books, that would enlighten minds.
That's my inspiration.
That's great.
My inspiration comes from the quote of Nelson Mandela, the legendary Nelson Mandela,
Okay.
that education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world.
It sure is.
That's my inspiration.
It absolutely is. And that is why in our religion as well, you know, it's been
Religion
said
is
that if you have to seek knowledge in China or wherever you have to go, seek that knowledge. It's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what about, how do you feel for the children who can't get an education, who can't go to school?
I'm very sorry for them that they don't have any education, and I am. That's what I'm trying to do. I want to help them for getting a good education.
That's great. That's wonderful. So, okay, this is you're talking about Nelson Mandela, yeah? And that he inspired, his quote inspired you as well. Now, I know as well that you have been inspired by the legendary Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
The boxer.
I have been.
Yeah?
Just leave this book down. I want to tell you a very interesting quote.
Okay, right.
He
I'll put it
challenged his
down.
opponent, Joe Frazier, by telling this quote. Yeah, he tells all of them I beat this opponent by telling this quote. I wrestled with the alligator. I tussled with the whale. Handcuffed lightning. Thrown thunder in the jail. Once I injured a rock. Hospitalized a beak. I'm so mean that I make a medicine sick.
I love that. He was a very good poet, wasn't he? He used to come out with poetry when he used to.
Fox.
Yeah, and before a fight, and he was very well known for being so eloquent and so good with words.
Yeah, anyway, his boxing career was also very good.
Of course,
he only lost 4 matches.
Yeah.
All of them later on was won or draw.
And he was a very widely recognized speaker.
Yeah.
People used to love to listen to him.
Yeah.
Why do you think he was so popular?
Why? No. I'll tell you why he was popular. See now, anyway, because of his fame of boxing when he was he defeated the legendary boxers, the very great boxers like Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier, George Foreman. They are very legendary boxers. And I'm gonna tell you one fact about this: that George Foreman was the person to the oldest age of 45 to win a boxing match at the age of 45.
Right.
The oldest one.
So what was the success behind Muhammad Ali, him as a boxer? There have been many boxers coming and going. Why was he so, you know, we still remember him now, and why do you think?
Remember him because anyway, he had a very big legacy with a very influence that spread across the world, and his legacy is still fresh.
That's so true. And that's what it is about a person, their personality, isn't it?
Yeah.
The way, because we can all achieve something. It's the way you...
So many people's legacies haven't faded even many centuries have passed.
And what makes them so memorable? What do you think?
What makes them memorable?
Yeah.
You know, their records and all their breathtaking and tough the tough ideas and records they did, that is the thing where their legacy has stayed and still not faded away. Just like Homer, the very legendary Greek writer, at least 2,700 years have passed and his legacy hasn't faded away because of these two things which have come in him. The Iliad and the Odyssey which he wrote, that is the thing which doesn't make his legacy fade away, because people have one special thing which doesn't make them fade away. So that's why they
have something that makes them, you know, timeless. Let's talk about who's the next? Let's talk about Buddha then. Yeah?
Buddha, all right.
Yeah?
He has a very big story anyway. So he was in a home. His father locked him in a palace because
He was a prince.
Yeah, he was a prince.
Yeah.
A prophecy stated that if he would leave the palace, the invaders would take over the territory. So he had many entertainment, very things, entertainment and food and water and everything. But he thought, I should go out from there.
Okay, something was
He
pulling him.
sneaked out at night a couple of times.
Okay.
And in the way, he finds a poor man, a sick man, and finally a corpse.
Okay.
And he did meditation under a tree for at least 2 or 3 months, and then he goes and spreads out his message.
Right. And his
that's
message was?
And then he was he was first a teacher. He wasn't seen like a god, all right? Then he was just a teacher. But then people put him as a Brahma, as a god, and then anyway, Buddhism is used as entertainment in China, as you see, only in China. As you see, he learns the lesson in that wherever you go, in what entertainment you are, all good things must come in you, and how you will go, how you will suffer, and what you leave behind when you die.
Absolutely. And we have some quotes from Buddha that we can talk about as well that I think that are very relevant. You will not be punished for your anger, but you will be punished by your anger.
Yeah.
Now imagine.
Yeah, anger is going to punish you. Anyway, yeah, and because anger is the very bad thing, it is very bad because, you know, it also weakens your body. It also makes you stressful, and that also weakens your body. You'll explode.
Yeah, and
You'll have a heart attack.
Oh dear. Yeah. Well, you know.
It is also scientific and medical. Anyway.
Okay, so that means that, you know, a person should really be
Anger is
careful
bad.
about being angry, because there are lots of what makes people angry, do you think? Why do people get angry?
Why do people get angry? Because they can't control their temper. They're short-tempered.
Yeah, is everybody short-tempered, or different people with different personalities? Can we control it?
Yeah, we can. Just control your temper. Anyway, we are not there for an anger management class. But anyway, you just have to control your temper. I'm just leaving it on you.
But what if I had an anger management problem? Then how would you tell me to calm down, and how would you tell me
You
to be...
should just drink some water. It is very scientific. You sit down on a chair and drink some water and take a deep breath. That
Okay.
is good. It's just scientific.
Right, fantastic. So there's some advice for everyone with anger management problems. Just sit down, take a glass of water, and count to 10, I think, to clear your mind. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Good.
so that is what Buddha was saying as well, one of those quotes, that anger is so harmful for you, yeah?
Yeah, it is very harmful.
And what about this quote? What we think, we become.
Yeah, it is. It happens sometimes. You think, be careful what you wish for.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you wish something, something bad can happen, something surprising can happen. And you feel sorry for that person. Yeah, be careful what you wish for. What you wish becomes sometimes true. Becomes sometimes true, and then you get a bit, then it gets very surprising and you feel sorry for that man. So be careful what you wish.
Yeah. And so how do we control what we think about?
How to control?
Yeah.
You mean about anger?
No, I'm talking about just thinking in general. Well, how can we
Just
be positive-minded?
Be satisfied what you have. All right, and be satisfied what you have. Be satisfied. Because it is also said in the Quran that فَإِنَّ مَا الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَا الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. After every hardship is ease. Indeed, after every hardship is ease. Because when you are in a hardship, and then after that will come an ease. You will come an ease. Just walk. No matter how much time will happen,
That's so
God will give you an ease.
That is so true. And to be happy with what you have and to be grateful as well,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's also the more grateful a person is.
Yeah, the more grateful, the more ease will come. And people are they also have a lie with them that, yeah, those people are poor because they are lazy and I am rich because I am hardworking. That is just one lie anyway.
That's a misconception, isn't
misconception.
it? Yeah, misconception, exactly. Okay, let's move on to Christopher Columbus now.
Christopher Columbus.
Do you want to talk about him?
Wow, what a topic you came out of. He was a very legendary explorer.
Yeah.
The person who discovered America. Anyway, he first thought that he sailed to India. So he kept the name Indies.
Right.
And then it is West Indies.
Yeah.
No, he sailed into the Caribbean. He thought that he sailed to India. So, but anyway, he realized that he sailed to the Caribbean. So he kept the name Indies.
Right.
Because people were Native Americans. They looked like India. They were looking like Indians. So that's why.
Right. So Christopher Columbus, he's such a historical explorer and everything, and he's on. Everybody knows about him. What do you think
He has more influence than other explorers like Vasco da Gama and Ferdinand Magellan.
What
Has a big influence.
What do you think it takes for a person to be an explorer?
Takes for a person courage. He should, because when you sail out, there is a very big. There are pirates, there are winds, there are tsunamis, there are waves, and then your ship gets wrecked in the way, something like that. You have to be then the most responsibility if you are a captain of the ship, how you will defend the ship and you are on the wheel and I don't know. Then that's why you have to. That takes courage to be an explorer in the sea.
In the sea, especially. So then there is that sort of, it all comes down to curiosity, doesn't it?
You shouldn't be scared of sailing in the sea. You should be courageous for doing this, to discover a direct route, to discover some new route.
So it's all about, being curious,
Yeah,
wanting
if your
to
ship gets
know.
lost. Yeah, that is the thing, because you will be, once you don't be scared. If a coward person, if a coward is there, then you can't be, then you will be, a coward will be afraid.
Yeah, you won't
so
be
you
able
wouldn't be courageous.
You won't be able to, because that reminds me of the saying, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah.
So if we don't try something, we're never going to know how.
We're never going to know. It is going to be exciting. And
Exactly.
we are just very scared.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, now, how's about talking about Einstein? Yeah?
Einstein.
Einstein is on the list as well.
Einstein, he's on number 10.
Yeah.
Einstein gave the theory of relativity.
I like that theory.
Yeah, E is equal to mc square. Anyway, but let's tell that what is the influence of Einstein on history. First, that is our main thing we have to tell. That is the theory of relativity which we have to tell. That is the influence of Einstein on history.
Yeah. So why was Einstein put on number 10?
I argue he is a philosopher rather than a scientist.
Yeah, you're right. I
The
love.
golden age of Einstein was in 1905.
I love reading his quotes and reading about him as well, because he also had a lot to talk about, didn't he? And he said, and then one of Einstein's quotes is that imagination is more important than knowledge.
Yeah, imagination. You have to imagine, and sometimes you imagine your thought, and sometimes that comes true. And then that is a very scientific quote.
That is, isn't it? So he was sort of combining science with philosophy, and his way of
a sort of scientist philosopher.
That's true. Okay, and then he also said, anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new?
That is a quote which I know anyway. But yeah, everyone here who did a mistake.
Why are we afraid of making mistakes?
Why we're afraid?
Yeah.
No, that is we are a bit. We are not doing good anyway. That we are afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes make you learn. Once you do a mistake, if it's mistakenly, then you learn. But if you do intentionally, you do it. You heard a story about a donkey who slips on the water and he mistakenly finds out, and then he learns that my salt is going to be finished, but then the farmer puts the cotton, he again slips on purpose, then his cotton gets very heavy. So that's why you shouldn't be so smart on doing it. You shouldn't be so smart. You should go that way and then make up some inventions. You shouldn't be so smart.
Right. Okay. And also another one of Einstein's quotes, the most important thing is to not stop questioning, because curiosity has its own reason for existing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has its own fate. Because never stop questioning, because you question, you then get an empty blank over there if you don't question. So then an empty mind is a devil's workshop.
Oh, that is so true, isn't it?
Yeah, your mind should be filled of questions, otherwise it's a devil's workshop.
That's so true. I so agree with that one.
Yeah.
To be occupied, and what better way to be occupied than reading books?
Better way to be occupied. This is actually a question anyway. That it's history and books are questions. That question that who is going to be your number one? What is the pulp of this book? What do we have to see in this book?
What are the sort of...
Actually, of knowledge absorbs the pulp of knowledge. Just like there's a fruit, you absorb its pulp, then you leave the peel. So absorb the pulp of the book, not the peel of the book.
So true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I gave you my book. I've written a book for children.
Right.
And I think it's
Twinkling Tunes.
Twinkling Tunes, yeah.
Yeah, like
You know what
Twinkle.
would really make me happy? If you could read a poem from there.
Oh.
Yeah? Would you do that?
I found out a very good poem, it was when I was 1. I used to suck my thumb. When I was 2, my favorite was a boo. And when I was 3, I fell and hurt my knee. When I was 4, my life was really a bore. My life was boring. And when I was 5, it was hard to survive. When I was 6, I was always in a fix. And when I was 7, I dreamt of life in heaven. And when I was 8, my mom started putting on weight. But now I'm 9, everything is just fine. That's nice rhyming. I like your rhyming.
Okay.
Rhyming is awesome.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I hope you read them, the rest of the poems,
Yeah.
and then tell me what you think of them.
Yeah, I love it.
Do you think anybody can be a writer?
Anybody, if he is courageous, as just I told you about that, if he's knowledgeable and his mind is working all the day, just like I told you about the sea story of Christopher Columbus, he shouldn't be a coward in writing a book. Oh no, I'm going to fail in the book. But you should succeed in doing it. So that's why you should be you should succeed in what doing, and that you shouldn't be covered of writing a book. Anyone can be a writer if he is knowledgeable and if he lacks knowledge, because knowledge and books are your friends. They're friends.
Right, exactly. So the book that you're writing, you know, how are you taking out the time? How are you sort of concentrating on it? What is your routine? What are you doing that way?
What I'm doing, my routine, I get up at Fajr time, pray Fajr prayer, then I go out for my hifz portion, then I do cycling, and then I go for my work 1 to wards, then I play all the day. I have cartoon time, video game time, cricket time, physical game time, mind game time. And then what happens, I go and then I read then I pray the other prayers of the day,
Right.
and then I read my books, and then after that I read the Isha prayer, and then I go to sleep. It's very simple and very good routine.
It sounds, that's fantastic to have such a routine. I'm very envious, and you know, it's very inspirational as well. that you're
Yeah.
doing so much at such a young age. So, do you like being on TV, or do you like
Oh
watching
yeah, I
television?
want to be. I had many offers which came to me, and I only chose yours because I knew that this was the very literature show. I love literature.
I'm so glad then that I'm doing this show, that we had the opportunity to have you on this program. That's
And it's just
fantastic.
by the grace of God.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Everything is a blessing from God in whatever we are given. So tell me, what is your message to people who are watching the show, to children, to grown-ups? What would you like to say to them? You know,
Say to them that read books in respect, because books are your friends. Books are uniquely portable magic. There's no friend loyal as a book.
that's lovely. That's
There's
wonderful. thing to
continuous
say.
friend. There's a whetstone, and your mind is a sword. So you're sharpening a sword with the whetstone.
That is so true. That's phenomenal. Okay, let's look at this book. This is, I've heard that this is one of your favorite books. Yeah?
Yeah.
So tell us about
It's
this.
football.
It's
It is
shaped
about
like
the FIFA
football
World
as
Cup.
well, isn't
Although
it?
it is a football, so we are going to talk about football. You recognize it. Just,
Yeah.
you know, it is about... Then
Well, I don't know much about football, so you can
football
tell
is
me.
just kicking. But, you know, there are many World Cups. The 2006 World Cup, it's a very legendary World Cup. You're going to see the match between France and Italy.
Okay, so
And
what?
France was defeated anyway when when the legendary player was given a red card, and then they couldn't take it out. Anyway, my name is also keep on over that legendary player.
Okay, right.
Then-
Okay, I like that. That's one of the players I know about. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know about him. Okay, that's where. Okay, that's also very important then, where you got your name from. There's also a book there on Eid. Yeah.
Eid, of
Yeah.
the Satar Eid.
Yeah. So how can we
Here's a
be
legendary
more?
story.
Yeah.
That once his loving mother gave him two pennies, 2 cents.
Okay.
And then she said one for the poor people and one spend it for some toffee, bread or anything. So he went out and he gave one to the... He did this routine every day. Till one day he went out and he gave 1 rupee, 1 penny to the poor people and felt sorry for them. And he gave the other penny too. So that comes the story when Eid was inspired by this movement, and then he went up to bring such a legendary story.
No, that is, and this was when he was very young.
Yeah, very young.
Yeah, so that's when we get our habits.
Yeah.
We sort of, you know, our habits are formed when we are very young, isn't
Yeah.
it? So, and that's so amazing, because he then carried on this amazing mission. So he was a great role model
Yeah.
for Pakistanis, wasn't he?
It was a great role model for Pakistan.
And for people all over the world
for
as well.
Just an ordinary boy to making such a big story. That is a very inspirational story for from a very low class, just a boy making pranks in streets and alleys, to bringing the largest private volunteer ambulance organization, ED. That is a big story.
Right,
You can't
right.
forget that.
Okay. So, you know, we've had just a wonderful time today, Zidane. It's been so enlightening for me and inspirational for me as well, and motivating for me to have you on the show and to talk about so many things. I hope you had a good time, because I just loved it.
I'm having such a good time. I'm so excited. I can't wait that this show it should be more continued. I like this show. As I told you, it's for the intellectual show.
Thank you so much, Zidane. It's been a pleasure having you here, and with lots and lots of prayers and good wishes. I wish you lots and lots of success for the
Yeah,
future.
thank you. But thank you for calling me to this show. And I was, it was such a show with literature, classics, literature, and it is a classic show. It is not only the name which is classic, but in the inside.
Well, now it's more classic because you've been on it. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, viewers, we've come to the end of this very, very, special episode where we had the wonderfully talented Zidane Hamid with us, and we had such a great time talking about so many things. Do I say that we can learn from anyone, and definitely there's so much to learn from him. So let's keep this learning process on, and we'll see you again.